Hey, it's Roy Newgate, and we're back covering another One Piece chapter. For this one, the title is "The Stars Take the Stage," and a lot happened in this chapter that we're gonna get into. A lot of elements and everything. But before we get to all of that, if this is your first time here, or if you typically enjoy One Piece content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay posted on all of my uploads, and hit the like button too, because that helps a lot as well. Now, the chapter pretty much starts off emphasizing the fact that the great disparity that the war began with. I think it was 30,000 to 5,000. That advantage that the Beast Pirates had is just significantly shrank, and they cover the Flying Six and the ones that have been defeated, which is Sasaki, Who's Who, and Black Maria. And I noticed they left out panels of OT in page one, and a lot of people have been pointing that out, thinking they might come back and everything. And overall for the Flying Six, I feel like I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted because on one end it's the fact that they went out earlier than I expected, mostly based on the fact that Ancient Zones are so hyped up. There's all these talks of their durability and endurance and being able to outlast a lot of things. And honestly, the only one that's kind of like shown us that like to a great degree is Ulti, because she she survived a Mazer cannon, kept fighting after that, needed a whole another new attack just to take her out from Nami, from a kind of a juiced up Zeus and everything. But then you have these other guys. They kind of went. It seemed like they went down a little easier. I mean, you could make the debate that maybe since their fights lasted longer, um it could have like played a part into all of that, into how they were defeated. But I don't know. But in any case, I guess I kind of understand that things have to move forward along. We have to show the progression of the Straw Hats. So I guess it's not really too much you can complain about when it comes to how the other Flying Six went down. But we have other fights that we have to get to, and some that might not even be set up yet. Um, we also have the fact that Wano is arriving in the mainland, or the flower capital, in 15 minutes, and that kind of changes things a lot, because before we were kind of operating on this this unknown amount of time until they hit the mainland. I mean, it was getting closer and closer every chapter, but we really didn't have any idea how long things were going to keep dragging out. But now things are on like a strict time limit, or I guess I should say things are sort of like a little more clear until like Momo does his thing and helps hold up an island, and then we have to see how long he could do that, and how much he can contribute, because now he's really at the center of it. Now he has a chance to really decide the fate of the citizens of the flower capital, and by extension all of Wano. It's not the point where he's just playing Shogun anymore. Things are getting that much more real, and like I said in the last review, it's forcing growth out of him now. So yeah, we'll see what he's made of when his time comes. But another part of the chapter, which I guess I personally, I really do not care about this, like Raizo versus Fukurakuju. Like, there's nothing in this fight for me that I'm looking forward to. But I guess the one cool part about it is just the fact that it's a sort of a clash of ideals, and you see these guys are completely different. Raizo, he's strictly loyal to Odin, and it was more than just Odin being a shogun. It's who Odin was as a person that really drew Raizo to him, and that's why he clings on to this memory of him and everything he stood for, even now after his death. Then you have Fukurakuju. He's the exact opposite. He has no loyalty to. Well, I guess we can't say he doesn't have a loyalty to just one person, but more than anything for him, it's a loyalty to the seat of Shogun. So whoever's holding that seat gets his full loyalty for whatever stretch they hold that seat. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much the interesting aspect of it, if anything. But other than that, I really would not mind if Oda just off screen this whole thing. But yeah, we also have the fact that Raizo mentions, well, while he's talking, we see panels of the other Scabbards, and out of the 9 of them, we have 3 that are fighting, 3 that are potentially dead. They're definitely down right now. They're not moving or anything. They're at bare minimum incapacitated. And honestly, whether or not they get up, that kind of changes the arc for me. Well, specifically Kinemon. Like, I can kind of digest if Kiku and Ashura get up, but then with Kinemon we had that whole flashback and everything, and it just would not feel right if he just got up at the end. But yeah, we have those 3 that are down. We have 3 that are fighting, and that's Raizo, Inu, and Neko. And then we have the other three that are just running around doing a whole bunch of nothing because we have not seen anything from them. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see what their roles are moving forward since um, a lot of the matchups are pretty much set, but there may be more that we don't see. So the last three is Kawamatsu, Denjiro, and Izzo. So yeah, we definitely have to see what their roles are. I mean, I have an idea what role they could play in the end, but I guess we'll just have to see how things develop before we can make an assessment of that either way. But moving on from the Scabbards, we have Killer and Hawkins, and the aspects of this battle kind of really surprised me because I thought it was just gonna be a straight up 1-on-1. I didn't know it would be a point where Killer was pushed to make a decision by Hawkins whether he wanted to keep attacking and risk the life of his captain and everything. But I kind of like how this is developed. You know, it's multi-layered now to the point that it's not just, you know, one side wins, the other side loses. There's a bit of strategy that has to be employed now if Killer wants to actually definitively beat Hawkins and save his captain's life. I was discussing the chapter with a few friends earlier, and I heard some theories that one option for Killer might be to cut off Hawkins' arm, or I guess kind of use that as leverage or an advantage of some sort while he's fighting him. Because if he damages that arm, logically it shouldn't affect Kid because he's already missing that arm. So that could be one way he can approach it, or there could be something we don't know about, something that Killer knows. Because the fact that they had an alliance, like, you know, the Kid Pirates, the On-Air Pirates and the Hawkins Pirates, and it kind of seemed like Killer did his research. You know, it seems like he's that meticulous that he does his research on people that he aligns himself with, and that's kind of evidence in the fact that he knew how Apu's power worked. He was the only one that knew. You know, Kid had no idea, and obviously Zoro and Luffy were clueless, but Killer, he had it all figured out. And it's hard for me to imagine that Apu is the one who just straight up told him, because he doesn't. You know, this guy's a backstabber. He doesn't seem like the guy that would be like, oh, okay, I trust you, so I'll let you know my weakness. So in that case, I'm inclined to believe that he just went out of his way and did his research. And by extension, I feel like he did his research on Hawkins as well. So he probably knows the loophole, or I guess the weakness of Hawkins' devil fruit ability. And if he either already knows how it works or if he figures it all out, that'll be pretty crucial, because Kid is one of the key components of the one of the Yonko fights as it is right now. You know, him and Law versus Big Mom. So if he goes down, that just shifts everything entirely, and then, you know, the whole game plan has to rework itself in some other way. But I think we have to consider all things here, because my last video was on whether or not, well, on who the 1% man may be, and I ended up concluding that it was Zoro. But then earlier in the week, through some discussions I had, some people brought up Kid, and especially with this chapter, now I'm thinking, is it the case where we might end up having Kid dead in the end of the arc? It's kind of like wild to me to consider. Well, I wouldn't say, well, it doesn't like really seem like something that Oda would go through, especially since he has conquerors. But I guess you can never be too sure of something, you know, like, especially in this arc where there may be a lot of twists and turns that nobody would see coming. But one thing that has kind of had me thinking that there may be potential in Kid dying is this cover page, and we have 99 on Kid's shirt, and we have 81 on this metal bird that he put together, and that may potentially line up with Hawkins' predictions, because he made a prediction that Luffy and Zoro will survive. They had a 19% chance of surviving to the end of the month, and then there's the whole 1% man thing, and then if you take 100 minus 19, we have 81. And then if you take 100 minus 99, we have 1%. So I don't know. I'm not really like completely sold on it, but you know, it's still something we have to consider, because it doesn't, like, when I saw the whole when I saw the 99, everybody was saying that Kid is at 1% because of the 99. I wasn't convinced at all. But then once you throw in the 81 and how that may potentially line up with a prediction for Luffy and Zoro, then that really gets you thinking, like, is this, you know, foreshadowing that Oda's been hiding in this specific cover page? I mean, who's to say for sure, but, you know, we'll see it eventually. But it's just something to keep in mind for now, if it ends up being the case, you know? As we transition over to the live floor where King and Queen are, they're just, like, absolutely dominating at this point. And we have this double spread of them just standing in the middle, just, the whole place seems to be covered in fire, and this is like King is in his bag and everything, and you got Queen and Hybrid. And what really surprised me is the fact that Marco's just laying in the corner, just absolutely beat up. I really didn't expect this. I thought he was gonna. Honestly, I had some pretty high expectations for Marco, to the point that I thought he was the one that was gonna finish this fight off. But in the end, he did have a pretty tall task ahead of him. Like he had to fight Big Mom. He had to heal the entire life floor, or pretty much use his flames of resurrection to slow down the Ice Oni plague, and he had to fight King and Queen 2-on-1 and everything. So I guess it was just a battle of endurance at that point, because these ancient Zoans, especially the Calamities, they can go on for a while, especially after we saw Jack was able to fight for 5 straight days in Zo, due to his endurance and everything. Of course, you can expect a lot more from King and Queen, and that was probably a detriment to Marco in the end. The fact that he wasn't, I guess, built like an ancient Zoan, or with all the other factors considered, that could be why as well. But in any case, I feel like now you can make the argument that King is over Marco. I may not make it myself, but that the building blocks are there. The building blocks are very much present at this point, for that sort of take. So I wouldn't be mad at it or anything. Like, I can completely understand. And King has been slandered a lot for his performance so far. So it's nice to see him finally showing out and everything. And we also see Sanji is also kind of in the same position as Marco, just laying on the ground defeated and everything. And he had a clash with the Calamities as well. So the entire life floor at this point is just waiting on Zoro, because that's all that's left to worry about, I guess. Just Zoro's returning. The tide turns as soon as he gets back on the stage. So I think King even mentioned that they have to find him and finish him before he recovers. So I guess that says a lot. They understand his threat level and what danger he may pose. And of course, we also have Perispero featured in the chapter, and I was really curious to see at what point would Neko Momoshi pull up on him and kind of start that whole battle up. And he pretty much caught him at a point where he was about to take out Sanji with his arrows, and he just just launched him across the room and everything, and just declare that he's here to avenge Pedro. So yeah, this is one of the 3 Scabbards that we have currently fighting and everything, and I really hope he's the one to finish Perispero off, because obviously he has a plot line directly tied to him and everything with Pedro and everything, and wouldn't make much sense for the Scabbards to just contribute absolutely nothing at this point. I really want them to be involved and really make an impact, and just be where they're needed to be. Same thing with Inuarashi and Jack. I think at least one of the main kings has to finish that because of what he did to Zoe and everything. Yeah, I don't really think it makes much sense for anyone else to take over that fight. So yeah, I'm just hoping that's how it starts and finishes and everything. So we have King just got kind of just wreaking havoc and everything, and then he finally gets to Zoro, and he pretty much tries to finish him off, but that's when Marco finally gets up and swoops in and intercepts him with I think the same attack that he intercepted Kizaru with at Marineford when he tried to go straight for Whitebeard. And it's pretty cool that we have a name for this attack now. So I feel like going forward, all these unnamed attacks that we've seen before, they're finally going to have names to them. And that's pretty cool. So we have something to reference whenever we're discussing them. But Marco, at some point, he mentions the fact that he knows about King's race. And he mentions that they were a fire conjuring race that lived on the top of the Red Line. And that may become very relevant later, because the fact is King might be the last one of his race, as it was implied by Big Mom. So I guess we'll get more on that later on, when the whole fighting continues and everything. I think it's really interesting that we still do not have a bounty on King, and I guess Marco's was revealed in a Viva card, and we still don't have his in the manga either. But to throw into some speculation in there, the fact that Queen's bounty is 1,320,000,000, and that may be based on the fact that I think it was the Black Death, which was a plague that started around 1320 or 1321, something like that. But anyway, I think there's a correlation there, because it doesn't seem like a coincidence on the surface with the fact that that plague specifically had claimed the lives of hundreds of millions, and it's so close to Queen's bounty and everything. So, and Queen being known as Queen of Plague and everything, that I think that all lines up. It's pretty feasible. But what I wanted to touch on specifically is the fact that we don't know King's bounty. And after talking to some friends and hearing their theories or theories they've discussed with others, I think the idea is that King's bounty may be 1,657,000,000, based on the fact that there was this wildfire that raged through Japan and claimed the lives of over 100,000 in 1657. So I can easily see Oda tying that together the same way he tied in Queen's Plague and everything, with this wildfire, and that may directly correlate to King's Bounty. So I'm pretty excited to see if that holds weight, because yeah, there has to be some hype around King's Bounty if it's been held off for this long, even when we're in the middle of fighting already. So we'll see how that plays out. But as we move towards the end of the chapter, we see Zoro's pretty much starting to recover, and the shot is starting to kick in, and he's getting out of the bandages, and just they're just unwrapping and everything. And it's at this point where Marco says, all right, I'm going to step aside. It's time for the stars to take the stage, pretty much introducing Zoro and Sanji and everything. And that's when they just prepare an attack and go after King and Queen straight. Zoro does a Rengoku Onigiri. Sanji does a Diable Jambe Mutton Shot. And it's at this point where Zoro and Sanji are starting to talk to each other after their attacks. And they're, kind of taking the moment in and saying that once they win this war, they're going to get that much closer to Luffy becoming the Pirate King. It's like within their sights and everything. So it just further emphasizes this is the end game. Like, we're right there, like One Piece does not have that much time left in it. So it's the final stretch pretty much. And I guess we'll see next chapter. Hopefully we stay, on the live floor and see what Zoro and Sanji do against the Calamities. But in any case, there's a lot of action going on. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Big Mom and her fight against Law and Kid and what's going on there, and how the fight with Hawkins and Killer plays into that and everything. So yeah, there's a lot to expect for the next chapter. But as always, comment your thoughts down below. Tell me what you thought of the chapter, what you think we might see in the next chapter and everything. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe as well, and yeah, I'll see you on the next review.